All right. Sorry for the delay. I'm going to start now. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Builder Livestream. I am Arshiya, and I am a growth partner for Metis, and today I will be hosting the conversation in today's live stream. So we've got some really exciting builders joining us from the OpenClaw Summer Builder Bootcamp. And today we're going to go beyond just hearing product pitches. We want to hear about what these builders have built, what challenges they've run into, and what they've learned from their users, and also more. So joining us today, we have our builders, and I will quickly start with the introductions. So we're just going to go around and everyone can just quickly, if you could briefly just introduce yourself, your team, if you have one, and what you're building. So I believe you can start off with Finality Labs if you want to start.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. I'm Tejas, founder of Finality Labs. So, today AI agents can perform tasks, but if one agent needs to hire another agent, so there isn't a simple way for them to negotiate terms, verify the work, and settle the payment without a human intervention. So, that's a problem we are solving. And with Finality Labs, a buyer agent can interact with a seller agent, negotiate a deal, create an agreement, and settle on chain. So then the result is recorded, and a verified payment and a reputation receipt is generated. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. If Sharik, you want to go next, just to introduce
Hey,
yourself and what you're working on.
hey everyone, I'm Sharik, and I built Sage on my own. Usually, you build a product, launch it, and nobody uses it. You ask friends, they just say, looks nice. Sage solves it. You give Sage your URL and a small budget. Sage opens your app, uses it itself, creates testing missions, gets real people to do them, checks their work, and pays them in USDC. I'm not in any part of that loop. It is built for solo builders who need honest feedback without paying an agency.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Abel.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep, all good.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Abel and I'm building Triage. So Triage is basically an AI agent for crypto transaction, forensics, and tax reconciliation. So the problem we're basically tackling is that blockchain transactions are transparent, but they're not necessarily understandable. So we can see that money moved from one address to another, but that doesn't tell you why it moved. So what we're basically doing is creating that forensic transaction history so that it's easier for people who are heavily involved with crypto and also for people who are calculating taxes, basically crypto CPA or tax analysts. So that's what we're building. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Harshil.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm Harshal. I'm building H. H is a paper session tutoring agent for students in courses which are lecture heavy, specifically liberal courses. The specific problem is that my professors post the lecture audio in one place and the slides in other in the D12. So you have got 2 hours of recording and 40 slides, and in no way like you are gonna sit through them in case you don't have time for preparing when the exam's nearby. So what does my agent do is that it takes both and it gives you a structured study pack built for your own course material plus a tutoring session on the topic you are actually stuck on. So the part that's relevant to this room would be the its paper session. So it's in USDC over X402. There's no subscription, there's no account, no card. Each has its own on-chain identity at ERC8004. It's agent number 77 on the Goat mainnet, and it receives payment directly to your own wallet. My target is university students, and I hope I can make it easier for them.
All right, thank you so much. Next, we're going to move on to Zachariah.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hey, everyone. I'm Zakaria. I just wanted to apologize quickly because my camera isn't working. So, anyway, I am a computer science student at UFT and I built Agora. So, just a quick fun fact, Agora means marketplace in Greek. So, that's where I got the name from. So, the main problem is that AI agents can do almost anything now. They can write your code, they run your research, book your travel, they can do anything, anything you can think of, they can do it. But the second one needs to pay for something, it stops and waits for a human with a credit card. So nothing out there is really autonomous. There's a person behind every agent approving purchases. So that's where Agora comes in. So Agora is a marketplace where AI agents buy computing power from each other and pay it for themselves. So it uses the GPU, the thing that actually runs the AI, and that's the biggest cost in the industry.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of you guys. We're going to move on to the next question. So, diving just a little bit deeper into why each of you guys chose these particular problems. So, just a bit more into what exactly were you trying to fix and what were the pain points? Who are you trying to? I believe some of you guys answered this, but if you just want to go a little bit more in depth, yeah, you can start off with Finality Labs.
Yeah, so we saw a gap between what AI agents can do today and truly autonomous agents. So agent can perform tasks, but if one agent needs to hire another, a human still usually has to negotiate, approve, verify, and pay. So we asked what happens when the buyer itself is an AI agent. So that's why we built the Finality Life infrastructure, connecting the negotiation, agreements, verification, and on-chain settlement and reputation. So ultimately, we are exploring how AI agents can transact economically with each other without the human intervention. That's it.
All right, thank you so much, Shark.
All right, so I joined this bootcamp because I wanted to see real economic activity beyond AI demos. My last project was an agent marketplace where AI agents negotiated and paid each other for compute. It was cool, but it was just agents paying agents in the loop. No real money ever came from outside. With Sage, I wanted the opposite. A real person puts money in, a real person gets paid, and the agent coordinates everything in between. And here we have Agora is doing great work in that space, and I think it is super interesting. I just wanted to build where outside money enters the loop first.
All right, thank you very much. Abel, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So what interested me about this problem was actually a very simple contradiction, right? So blockchains can give us more transaction data than traditional finance, but understanding that data can actually be harder. So for example, if I send money from one bank account to another, the bank statement usually gives me context on what's happening, right? But on chain, you might just see an address interacting with another address or a smart contract, right? So once you introduce bridges, multiple wallets, DeFi protocols, and exchange, a tax tool has to infer the economic meaning behind all those transactions, and that's where I saw the opportunity for creating an agent to automate this layer. So yeah, that was the motivation behind it.
All right, thank you. Herschel.
Yes, so my motivation behind building this, it's like two things stacked together. The student problem is the pricing shape problem. Tutoring is usually sold by subscription or by the hour. Students don't study on a subscription; they study in like bursts of sessions. For especially for liberal courses here at TMU, 3 days example, 3 days before a midterm or like a week before midterm. For such courses, a monthly plan will like charge you for 11 weeks that you skip. uh, like what I'm saying is like you won't be able to use your entire $30 or $40 per month money's worth. So per session is an honest shape for how studying actually works. But per session at $1 doesn't work on card details. In my case, the fees eats the product. That's the like disadvantage of having a credit card. So the Explorer 2 makes a price tag native part of HTTP response, and stablecoin settlement makes $1 charge economically sane. Like in Bitcoin, it would make sense. The paper session idea. So that's what makes the pricing model, and I wanted it possible for all. And it's not just about my one agent. If agents are going to buy things from each other, the unit of commerce is small, and there's no human at the checkout. So what it is a small, honest instant of that. A stranger's software pays for my software for a service, and neither of us has an account with the other.
All right, thank you very much, Zachariah.
Yeah, so the reason why I built this is because one thing I noticed is every autonomous agent out there isn't really, like, it's kind of stretching the truth because payment is where it truly breaks. So an agent can reason, plan, and act, and then it hits like the area where it's meant to pay, and that's where it needs the user. So that's the difference when it comes to Agora, because it's a tool that you need to supervise, and then Agora is something that you can use while you're asleep. And crypto is the only rail a bot can actually use on its own. You can't just give a bot your Visa. You can handle it like your crypto wallet, right?
All right, thank you guys so much for answering that question. Now, I will say there's obviously a huge gap when it comes to actually having an idea, right? You guys all mentioned your pain points. Going from there to now coming here where you actually have a full product where you have like a few signups, however many that might be, you have users, you have people that are actually using the product. So I just want to ask, like in this bootcamp, what was the hardest part of actually building your product? So yeah, Finality Labs, if you want to go first.
Yeah. So the biggest technical challenge was making all the different components work reliably as one end-to-end flow. So we had an agent handling the negotiation. So our backend coordinating the deal, wallet integration, handling the payment, and blockchain infrastructure, handling the verification and the settlement. So getting each component working individually wasn't the hardest part. Making them communicate correctly and handling the real world failure cases from the taking between the users, that was the part which we felt difficult. And this taught us building an autonomous agent system isn't just about the AI. So the orchestration, trust, payment, and the verification layers are equally important part. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Sharik, what about you?
Uh, Hardest part, honestly, getting the agent to say no. Paying people is easy. Rejecting a real person who did honest work is how you lose trust. So Sage does not just judge text before any tester arrives. Sage uses the app itself in a real browser. When a tester submits, Sage checks their report against what it saw with its own eyes. So that was my hardest part.
I see. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Abel, if you want to go next. These are in columns. Harshal, are you there?
Uh, yeah, yes, I can go next.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
just that hello. Yep. It's just that like the internet connection, everyone seems to like get stuck on and off. So yeah, hope you can hear me all right. So the hardest part had nothing to do in my case with the smart contracts. It was learning that a data source that answers you is not a data source that's like current. So the what I'm saying is like the data source is not fresh. here's what happened. Like I'll be talking about a difficulty that I encountered. My RPC node served me a head block that was 43 hours old, and you can read about this post in my X and how I tackled it. It didn't error. So what happened was every call, block number, contract reads, and log scans answered cheerfully with the old boot. And that's the worst part in making a software. The errors which are not actually shown as error messages, but errors which fail silently. My balance script reported a wallet holding of 4 USDCE when it was actually 6. A log scan found that zero incoming transfers for payments that had probably landed because the blocks containing them didn't exist on that node yet. I came within one message of telling my counterparty, which was Agora, when I was making the agent to agent transaction, that their payment never arrived. The money actually arrived. Is that it's just that my reader was lying to me politely and just right to my face. The fix was small and it's now in everything. Before any script reports on chain state, it asserts freshness compared to the head block timestamp to the local clock and throws in the measured lag rather than returning a number. Same principle killed another bug class. A verification script had fallen back default, so it printed the same wallet twice and read as clean to wallet pass. So the generalized lesson to take away is every builder any builder can learn from this. Any cache, index, or mirror or replica can serve stale data without erroring. And the corollary and the opposite is when a human says "me" is actually moved, but your script says it doesn't. The burden of proof is on your script. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that. And I believe if Abel and Agora, if you guys are able to talk, if one of you guys want to go next, yeah.
Oh, hey, sorry. I don't know what happened with my screen. My laptop just shut down for some reason. So, yeah, to answer my question, what made me decide to build a product?
Sorry, the question is, what was the hardest part for actually building your product in the bootcamp? Okay, I think he might have disconnected again.
Yeah, I can take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the hardest part that I found when it came to the bootcamp was honestly none of it was really the coding, which was kind of surprising to me because I thought that's where I would encounter a lot of the errors. So the hardest part for me was the payment pipeline that I worked on back in July. So when the agent was registered on chain and I had my wallet funded and everything approved, on paper I was done early, but what stood in between my agent and another agent was the gas and the stablecoin balance. So because I didn't have that at the time, I was unable to actually do a transaction. So I kept thinking that I had an engineering problem when realistically it was just a logistics problem. So the lesson that I learned was that the infrastructure being ready and the infrastructure being used are completely two different milestones. And I kind of like intertwined them. So I misunderstood where my error was. So that's kind of what the hardest part was because I was trying to fix something that didn't really need fixing.
Thank you. Abel, are you able to talk?
Yeah, so can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So the biggest surprise for me, actually the hardest problem for me was getting actual blockchain data and knowing when to trust the interpretation, right? So you can basically retrieve a transaction pretty easily, but an asset leaves one wallet, interacts with the contract, appears somewhere else, and then moves again. So the agent has to determine whether those events are actually connected, right? So I started thinking about triage less like a chatbot and more like an investigator. So every conclusion should have evidence behind it. And if the evidence is weak, the system should flag the assumption instead of hiding uncertainty. So yeah, I guess that was the hardest part for me.
All right. Thank you so much to all of you guys. All of that is very interesting insight, I would say. As someone who's not really doing any of what you guys are doing, it's very surprising to hear the different types of like obstacles that you come across building something in the AI agent ecosystem. Now, since you guys actually have, users, right? You're in the process of promoting your product and you're gaining a lot of users. So in a sense, your product, well, not in a sense, your product is literally out there, right? And you have real users, you need validation from them, you need feedback. So what have you learned from that, from actually having users and now that your product is out there, basically in the world? Is there anything that you've learned from the users? So, Finality Labs, if you want to go first.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that we learn is that users understand the idea of AI agents transacting with each other, but they care a lot about what happens when something goes wrong. They want to know whether the work was actually completed, whether the payment has been verified, whether they can trust each other. That feedback reinforced our focus on mainly on the verification part, transparent trust part, on chain settlement part, and the reputation rather than just an autonomous agents. So it also showed us that our next priority is moving beyond technical or the MVP and making the experience simpler and more reliable for the developers so that users can use the product efficiently. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your answer. Sage, if you want to go next.
18 people have been paid around $50 on GOAT mainnet. Every payment is a public transaction. The agent rejected 20 out of 42 submissions, about half for low effort or duplicate work. And I learned testers write great feedback for just $2. Early on, I thought they did not. But my dashboard was hiding the submissions. I was blaming users for my own bug.
I see. All right. That's good that you know about that now. Um, Next, I'll move on to H. Herschel, if you want to go.
Yes. So I would say the difference between like building in private and testing the software out yourself, testing the product out yourself, and having actual users uh, is like you get a different kind of feedback. I would say H isn't even despite being in private testing right now. Uh, H is the bot is actually live, the identity is live, the settlement is live and on the mainnet, but the allow list is not open to all. So what I asked from the testers is that like uh, they test my bot using like malicious prompts. So in the worst case, I've covered most of the cases where a um, bad user tries to get information get use age for the wrong purposes. So what I've learned from these conversations with the target users and is that the strongest signal is students don't care about the tutoring chat nearly as much as I expected. They care about the artifact, the study pack itself, the thing that they can use just before the day of exam. Second thing nobody asked me is what chain it's on. Not once, which is exactly the payment rail should be invisible to the student. The infrastructure is not a feature itself. Like what I'm the difficulty should be abstracted away from the user. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Triage.
Yeah. So what I've learned from my users is basically my composition of my target users. So I initially thought my target users were going to be crypto analysts or accountants or whoever's trying to reconstruct that forensic history, like I mentioned before. But turns out that whoever whoever is deeply involved with crypto, like people who are like investing a lot in crypto are also interested in this product because they want to figure out if they lost money while filing taxes in the previous terms, right? So they are more interested in the product as well. So if I'm looking at the composition or the analytics of whoever's using my app or my product, it's more than 60% of it is individual crypto users rather than accountants or analysts, if I'm saying. So I don't want to overstate adoption since I'm pretty early stage. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you. Agora, if you want to go next.
Yeah, so I actually, for the seed user feedback, I surveyed around, let me just see, 14 people. And on the wait list, I got 53 signups. So the reason why I'm saying this is because I assumed that developers were regularly running out of compute mid task, whereas most of them never had it happen to them once. And I also assumed that if someone wasn't already using a wallet, then a stable coin payment, like it was already a solved problem when it wasn't. So the main issue was when I surveyed people, a lot of people they didn't really understand it and they didn't really seem to. So when I had my form, I asked people, "Is there anything missing from Agora? Like, is there a feature that you would like to add?" And not many people actually had that. They just didn't really understand it. So I feel like one thing I learned from all the users that I surveyed is currently Agora is a little bit too complicated for the average user. So I feel like I could make it a little bit more simplified to the point where literally like the average person down the street is able to use Agora. But I feel like it was not really a product problem, more so a marketing problem. And I should have probably marketed to a certain niche rather than just more so literally everyone. And yeah, like I said, I asked them what would make them stop using Agora, and not one person could actually do that, like name a missing feature. Five of them said that they didn't really understand it well, and three of them said they didn't really trust it with like using the real money. But just an example, I asked someone that goes to my university, and I just gave him a one-liner, which is my one-liner. It's AI agents buying and selling compute autonomously, and immediately he just thought of buying and selling Bitcoin. And I had to explain to him, I was like, no, it's using your GPU power and renting out your spare room for like AI jobs. And that's when he like started to like understand it. So I feel like my initial explanation on what Agora is, it kind of makes people think, oh, is this about buying and selling Bitcoin? Whereas no, it's more so about buying and renting and selling compute power.
All right. Thank you so much for all of you guys answering that. I think from that, you create a product as a builder, right? And you think of it as a certain way. However, users or even the audience that you thought it would be meant for, sometimes it isn't always the case, right? Whatever it is, it's very important that you guys get feedback from your users so you can constantly keep improving, right? Improving means changing things and or building on things, right? Or in some cases, simplifying things for the user's better experience. So speaking of that, where do you guys go from here, right? Now that you've built pretty much like your first version of each of your products, what's next for your product, right? What are you most focused on improving? And would you be more focused like on users, on infrastructure, integrations, or just expanding the product itself in general? So like where basically just where you see the product and what you see yourself improving on it in the near future. So Finality Labs, if you want to take that first.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now we are focused on improving the reliability and the user experience of the whole transaction flow. So we want the process from the negotiation, verification, then payment, and then settlement to feel simpler and predictable for the developers. So at the same time, we are improving the verification and the reputation foundation so that the every completed transaction can contribute to a verifiable history for the agent. So our focus right now is less than about adding a lots of feature, making the product complex. We are making the core workflow reliable and easy to integrate and ready for the real world users. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very important. Actually, like figuring out like how it would apply to the real world. So that's a really good answer. Thank you for that. Sage, if you want to go next.
Alright, so three things. First, getting founders to fund their own campaigns regularly. Second, better feedback synthesis. Instead of 15 raw reports, Sage will say four people got stuck on the same screen and explain why. Third, automated retesting. When you fix a bug, Sage spins up a mission with new testers to verify the fix. Uh, and success in 6 months is a founder I have never met launching a campaign, funding funding it themselves with zero input from me.
All right, really good answer. Thank you. Um, I'll move on to H.
Yes. So there are actually three things that I would like to improve. First, being the uptime. Right now, the agent runs on infrastructure that I have control of directly. An agent will has its downtime. So moving it to an always on hosting is the highest value thing that's left. Second being like how can I market this product properly and also obey the academic integrity back in my university. So that the reason being it's only allowed to less than like between 10 to 20 students for now is that uh, I need to follow the academic integrity and not let H do build guardrails so that H won't end up doing the student's homework for the student. Uh, so it should remain a study pack basically. The third being the quality of the study pack itself. The pipeline works audio to transcript, slides through OCR, through structured notes, merging everything into a master document, the one document that student will read just before the exams. Over 3 to 6 months, success is narrow and unglamorous. A real cohort of students using it for an actual semester, like this fall semester that's coming now in a few days, and a payment path that's run enough number of times so that there are no possible failure causes. I would rather have 20 students who notice it like broken and so that I can fix it rather than 1,000 students who keep complaining to me all at once. Yep.
All right, that's really good. It's really good that you're really focused on your users and trying to specialize to them as much as possible. I'll move on to triage.
Yeah, so there are two things I want to improve at this point in time. Is that firstly, I want the agent to feel less like chatting with the chatbot, and I want it to feel more like an interaction, right? So, and the second part is basically better handling of multi-wallet and multi-chain transaction, and kind of finding the line where I can push this agent till uh, with the other part of the line or the other side of the line being human review, right? So till where can I automate this, right? So kind of finding that line is also crucial. So basically evidence and confidence, right? So yeah.
All right, thank you. Agora.
Yeah, so what's next is I feel like the most important thing for us to work on next is an agent to agent negotiation with like absolutely no human relay. So right now, two agents can settle a payment by themselves, but a person still needs to pass in order between them. So like Harshil said, we did a transaction and Harshil generated an order and pasted it into the chat, and then I pasted it into my agent. So the payment leg was autonomous, so none of us had to actually put in like our information or like connect to our crypto or anything. That was completely autonomous. but the handshake wasn't. So to close that gap, and it's a marketplace instead of a payment rail. So after that, I plan to work on the supply side because that's where the research is pointed. So someone with an idle GPU should be able to list it and have their own agent fulfill jobs and get paid without managing anything. And success in 6 months is one number for me. Agents transacting on Agora that I didn't personally arrange. So every transaction so far happened because I messaged somebody, and that's not really a marketplace. That's just sort of like a group chat with receipts.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you to all of you guys for answering that. And it's really nice to see that you all have like a really good plan ahead and you know exactly what you want to do going ahead with your product. Now, since you guys have been in the bootcamp, right, and you're building an AI agent, I want to kind of like zoom out from actually like individual products for you guys, your individual products, and kind of just into this whole like industry basically. So after going through all this, like, what do you think is still missing from the AI agent ecosystem? So, Finality Labs, if you want to answer first.
Yeah, so I think the next wave will be move from the building the AI that simply answer questions to building the AI that can actually operate in the real world. So we'll see the more autonomous agents are coming that collaborate with other agents, use tools, manage the workflows, and make decisions with the defined goals and the budgets, all the things. So and around those agents and builders and founders will need an or the VC that will need an infrastructure for the identity discovery, trusts, payments, and verification, then the reputation part. So I think that next wave isn't just about building the smarter models. It's about building the system where agents can actually work. So I think this is the remaining big part. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that. Sage, what about you?
I think infrastructure is mostly solved. Agents can already pay each other and negotiate. What is missing is where the real money comes from. A lot of economies are closed loops of agents paying agents. We need systems where a real person pays for value, a real person gets paid for labor, and the agent coordinates between them.
Thank you. Um, Move on to H.
Um, I would say my answer would be pretty much like Sharik. What's missing from the AI agent ecosystem is not the infrastructure. The infrastructure has taken care of like what we are using Claw for hosting. It was pretty intuitive that even like non-developers can directly make their own agents. That's one thing that I really like. The one more thing would be like authorization primitives, like spending caps, revocation in case in case it needs an order goes wrong or an agent makes mistake. A receipt say a human can audit after that such a revocation. Every team here is another thing is every team here is writing their own version from these from scratch, like the guardrails and stuff. What I think is that it should be the guardrail should be primitive and at the protocol layer, the way identity is now 8004. So, like, if some of the guardrails is added to the infrastructure, a developer can use those directly, and those should be the bare minimum. Uh, because like it's real money. So and when it's money, it a system needs to be held someone a system needs to hold someone accountable. So that's why that's what I think should be is missing from the AI agent ecosystem.
Thank you so much. Triage, if you want to go next.
Yeah, so what I feel is missing from this AI agent ecosystem is basically two things, reliability and accountability. And I can elaborate on that. So, say in a demo, I'm right. I'm saying that this product works like 90% of the time, right? And it might look amazing, but in the physical world, like in an actual sector like tax, finance, healthcare, or anything involving money or life, the other 10% actually becomes the entire problem, right? So I feel like agents need to find better ways to expose uncertainty and request human approval and provide evidence for actions. And also, I personally think the winning agents won't be necessarily the most autonomous, but they'll be the ones that know when not to be autonomous, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Those are really good points. Um, is there anything else you want to add?
No, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Agora, if you want to share.
Yeah, so if I had to say what's missing from the ecosystem in one word, is I'd say it's discovery, because we already have a working standard identity for now, and we've already got the payment. So I've used both; they both work. That's not really what the issue is. The gap is more so the middle. So how does one agent find another that offers what it needs and agrees on a price without a human introducing them? So right now, agent to agent commerce only works if you already know the other agent, and that's not commerce. That's just like two people doing a transaction. So what happened with Harshal was because me and him were both in the same Telegram group. That's why we did the transaction. Like if I wasn't able to meet him through that Telegram group, I probably wouldn't have had an agent to agent transaction. So identity and payment are largely solved, whereas discovery is wide open. So what I mean by that is there should be like an area to kind of like meet other agents, as you need more of an outreach. You can't really just like, you need to know the person if you're going to do a payment with them, which isn't really the purpose, right? Because we want a marketplace, not really just a simple friend to friend transaction.
All right, thank you. So thank you so much for answering. And while we are close to wrapping this up, I want to finish with one quick question for everyone. What do you want anyone watching this to remember about each of your projects after today? So, Finality Labs.
So Finality Labs is it's a agent to agent infrastructure or protocol. So that lets the AI agent move from simply doing tasks to actually doing business with each other, and by enabling them to discover, negotiate, building the trust that is missing in the AI field, and verify transaction and build the reputation autonomously. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Sage.
Sage is an AI agent that pays real people to use your product and tell you the truth. And the agent decides who deserves the money. Not me, not you. Thank you.
Thank you. What about H?
So the one thing that I would like for everyone to as a takeaway that everyone can take from this live stream is that like H is not just like ChatGPT with extra steps. ChatGPT doesn't have your if your professor, like let's say he records audio files and has PPT, the kind of audio files that you are supposed to listen to the whole 2 hours. ChatGPT will not transcribe them from you. You would need like special. There are special services, or you would need to build your own like a side project which will transcribe the audio for you. What H does is that it does exactly that. So you can avoid paying like $20 per month on TurboScribe and $30 per month on any your favorite AI provider. What H does, it transcribes and it also prepares you good notes. The transcribed audio files are crossed with the weekly readings that you are assigned to do. Suppose your professor assigns you these number of books that you should make a summary on. Each will tell you like how your lecture slides are related to those readings and what you can some points that you can highlight, so you can post them directly in your discussion group on D2L. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Triage?
Okay, so the only takeaway that, if you guys weren't paying attention, like I want you to take away from the product is that Triage isn't trying to replace the accountable human. It's only trying to eliminate the investigative grunt work that goes underneath them, right? So, and yes, blockchain does not record actions, does only record actions and not the intentions, right? So, yeah, if you have a messy blockchain and I'm talking about you know where to look. It's Triage.
All right, thank you. Agora?
Yeah, one thing I'd want anyone watching to take away from this is that you don't really have to take my word for it because I just want everyone watching and also everyone here, if you'd like to visit my website, because everything on there, I have facts on there where I have real live on chain facts rather than just like numbers typed in by me. And if I have something wrong, you can let me know. And I tried to make my website as unique as possible, as I created a 3D Greek Plaza marketplace that you can actually interact with and walk through. And since Agora means marketplace, that's kind of where I got the inspiration. So yeah, if you would like to take a look through that, I'd really appreciate it. And another thing is that another agent actually told me something. So on X, I got an interaction with Bordy, and I asked Bordy what breaks when an agent needs to pay, and it said a payment without verifiable settlement leaves the receiving agent guessing. So that kind of stuck with me. So the receipts aren't really a feature; they're more so a point.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you to all you guys. And I hope that everyone watching this live has taken away what you guys wanted them to and actually understood the reason behind each of your products. And before I wrap up this live, if any of you guys have anything to share, anything you want to talk about. All right, no problem. So thank you so much to each and every one of you for taking the time to share so much about your product, about your experience, your take on things, and the process behind it and challenges you faced. And also, obviously, thanks to everyone who tuned in. You guys should definitely keep an eye on Finality Labs, Triage, Sage, H, and Agora. And along as they continue to expand their product even beyond this bootcamp. And that is everything for today's live. Hope you all have a rest of your day or night wherever you are. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Arshiya.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.